Yeah.
Senator, appreciate your opening comments.
What's your name?
Britt Barton, here in Blanding. I have a concern and a question. My concern, saw a movie a couple of nights ago, and the two emotions of hope and fear were addressed.
I was afraid you were going to say hope and change.
No. Hope and fear. And the powers that be in the movie talked about how a little bit of hope is good, a lot of hope is dangerous. My concern is the average citizen probably feels like I have felt at times, that being, love to get involved, but what can I do? I'm one voice. My question is, how can we instill enough hope in the average American citizen that they become dangerous? How can we do that? I mean, you've addressed this in numerous questions here. This is what needs to happen, is enough people need to speak out. How do we get people to do that?
Okay. I want to make sure I understand exactly in what context they said hope is dangerous. I haven't heard that before. What?
In other words, you get enough people to have enough hope that they're going to make a difference.
And then they don't? Okay. But how is it? Oh, I see. It's dangerous in the sense that it...
Dangerous to the federal government.
Okay. Good. All right. I like that kind of danger. I'm glad you asked that question, Mr. Barton, because this question, although not usually phrased in those eloquent terms that you used, actually comes up a lot. People ask, what can I do? How can any of us as individuals make a difference? The good news there is that never in the history of America, never in the history of the world, for that matter, has it been so possible for so few people armed with so little money to communicate a message to so many listeners. With the advent of the internet, of Facebook, of Twitter, YouTube, and other tools of social media and new media in general, they certainly have their downsides. For the political world, they've done wonders. If we allow them to operate the way they should, and if we, as liberty-minded, liberty-loving people, will embrace them and will do our part within them, we can do a lot through those same media to communicate those messages. Just communicate. Just talk to people. Talk to your friends in person and online. Talk to your friends and your neighbors, your coworkers, your aunts, your uncles, your children, your nieces and your nephews. Talk to them about what made America great at its founding. Talk to them about America's Gilded Age and how it is that more wealth was created in America during just a few decades than in almost any other civilization at almost any time in the history of the world. Limited government had an awful lot to do with that. Talk to them about the fact that it's our birthright as Americans to live in a system in which the states wield most of the power. About the fact that James Madison in Federalist Number 45, in trying to convince some of the reluctant states to ratify the Constitution, said that the powers reserved for Congress would be few and defined, and those reserved to the states numerous and indefinite. And that it was that sentiment, that understanding, that led to the Constitution's ratification. It would never have been ratified without that. Help them understand that we've kind of flipped that on its head, because over the last 75 years, with a little assistance from the Supreme Court, which has been all too permissive for the most part in allowing Congress to get away with doing too much, we have sent the message to Congress that if Congress can dream it, Congress can do it. There's no project too big or too small for Congress. In the process, where has that gotten us? Well, $15 trillion in debt, spending over $200 billion a year just to pay our interest on our federal debt. And by the end of this decade, we'll be spending $1 trillion a year just in interest on our federal debt. It isn't sustainable. The way we save the Republic, the way we ensure that America's best days are yet ahead of her, is to return to that 225-year-old document written by the hands of wise men raised up by their Maker under that very purpose, that has fostered the development of the greatest civilization the world has ever known. You send that message to just your circle of friends and just your circle of coworkers and relatives, that will change America.